working, and plus I use a new concealer and a new foundation. But okay, if you're new here, welcome. Give this video a thumbs up. I'm gonna be telling you guys a story time. I don't know what I'm gonna name this story time, but it's pretty crazy. It's gonna be when I went to the Miami Art Basel and all the crazy stuff that happened leading up to it. This weird, I guess, microaggressions that I experienced at the Louis Vuitton party with this one really big influencer. But anyway, okay, cool. So let me start. All my friends were going to the Art Basel. A lot of them were going to the Art Basel, and they were like, okay, you should go. And I was planning to go in the beginning of the year. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And this is not the Art Basel that previously. This is not recent Art Basel, okay? So my friends were like, okay, you should go, blah, blah. And then one of my really close friends were going with her really close friend. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I started looking up hotels, and by this time it's already too late. All the prices are like skyrocketed. Like for 4 nights for the hotel that I booked, I was gonna pay like $5,000. Not even kidding. Like that's how expensive it was. But I was like, okay, this is a really good experience. I've never been to the Art Basel in Miami, and if you don't know about the Art Basel, it's like Art Week in Miami, and it's a bunch of fun, and Prada, LV, Mercedes, Land Rover, like all the people go out there. Like, you know, it's a fun thing to do. Like, I might have to do a separate story on like other things that happen. I'm just trying to get to the nitty gritty. So I booked the hotel, and then the hotel, basically, they canceled. They're like, oh, no, you weren't supposed to be able to book that for that price. They were saying that the $5,000 that I booked it for was too cheap. That is not the price that it was supposed to be booked for. They were like, yeah, we can honor that, but the 4th night, because what happened was I was trying to add an additional night. Instead of doing 4 nights, I did 5, because my niece wasn't going to be able to come the first day that I got there. So they were like, no, that actually is going to push the price up to $8,000, blah. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not paying this. This is literally insane. And I don't care if it's not coming directly out of my bank account. Like, I just am not paying that. So I was like, yeah, I'm not paying this. This is ridiculous. And anyway, but I had already bought my niece's flight. She goes to college in Atlanta, so I bought her flight from Atlanta to Miami, and then I already bought my flight to Miami. So I was like, okay, well, just, you know, need to find a new place. So anyway, one of my closest friends, she calls me and she's like, Chanel, we're gonna call her Paris. So Paris calls me and she's like, she's like, LV invited me to the Miami Art Basel, and which this means is like they send out an invitation. They're inviting you to like all their little events that is going on, like all their pop-up events. They had a cocktail party and basically giving you free tickets to a lot of other events. So they were giving her free tickets to the Art Basel and South Beach and all these other things, right? So she was like, you should come because they're allowing me to have a +1. So I told my friend, I'm like, well, I'm already going there, so that's great. Like, I'll definitely I would love to be your +1 to Louis Vuitton, to their cocktail party and all the events they were having. She was like, okay, great. So where are you staying at? So I explained to her the situation that was going on, and she was like, well, I know like this really nice penthouse or whatever. We can rent it out or whatever. And I don't think it was on Airbnb. I think it was on Verbo or Vibro or whatever. I don't know what that's called, but she was like, yeah, let's stay there. And I was like, okay, cool. And she told me like, you know, the price, we're splitting it or whatever. And it actually ended up, it was way nicer than the hotel I was booking when we got there. And it actually ended up being way cheaper. Not making this up. So it just came clutch, and I was so happy that like Paris called me, and I was like, yes. So I was like, okay, I really need to get my fits together because the Art Basel's in 2 weeks. My friend ended up ordering me some heels. It was his gift to me because this was my first Miami Art Basel, and he loves the Art Basel. He like been going there for years, and he just loves art, and he's an art collector. So he's a close friend of mine, virtual friend, we never met. And he was like, oh, well, let me buy you some heels or whatever, or like, let me buy you like an outfit. And I ended up finding these perfect gold heels, because these gold heels that I wanted from Giuseppe, and I ended up ordering the heels. This is all relevant, okay? You guys, this is all relevant. So he buys me the Giuseppes, and they're coming the day before I'm leaving. Changing it, and I was staying for 7 days in Miami. Actually, I stayed over 7 days because I think I stayed from the 3rd to the 11th. Nonetheless, I ended up changing the tracking on the package because I basically wanted the package to arrive and no signature. I know you guys are probably like, oh my gosh, Chanel, why would you do that? So the packaging of the Giuseppe Hills, I decided to make it no signature because I was like, I'm going to be home all day packing, getting ready for the Art Basel. Like nobody in, like, at this time I live in a house, and the house is 3 stories, by the way. So I'm on the 3rd floor. My little brother's room is on the 1st floor, and the other room and the kitchen is on the 2nd, because it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. So anyway, the middle is the kitchen and the living room, by the way. So the bottom floor, my little brother is not there. He's actually on vacation, so he was out of town. So it was just me in the house. So a package is getting delivered, and I hear that it getting delivered. My camera buzz that it's getting delivered. Everything or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to sign for it. They're gonna leave the package. I'm going down. So I'm literally going down there, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a bagel before I go down there, and I put the bagel in the toaster, and then once the bagel's done, then I'll come back up. Blah 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 blah. I promise you guys, couldn't have took more than I don't even know, like more than 2 minutes. I go down to my front door, because I know the box got delivered. Remember, we saw it on the camera. We saw the delivery man saw it on the camera. Why, oh why, was the box not there? So I run out, I'm like, am I tripping? Like, so I run out and I look both ways or whatever, and I don't see nobody. So I'm like, let me go back in my house and go look at my cameras. So I go back in the house and I go look at the cameras, you guys. Tell me why. A man is still, I'm gonna attach the video because I don't even live there no more, okay? A man is stealing my package. Like, he shakes the box and everything, and I think Giuseppe's in Italy. Like, it says Italy on the box. He literally steals the Giuseppe's. Okay, he literally steals my Giuseppe Hills. So I'm sitting here just like, I'm shocked, you guys. I'm blown away. Mine is, so I decided to get in my car and I drive around and see if I see him because, bro, I need these gold Giuseppe's for, like, what? Anyway, so I end up driving around or whatever, and I'm upset, and I call my sisters, and my sister's like, oh, well, the hotel canceled, and now this happened, you should cancel the trip. Well, and I'm like, no, there's no cancellation. I already spent thousands on the rental or whatever, overlooking the ocean, by the way, and I already paid for my niece's flight out there. I already paid for my flight out there. Like, I'm not canceling the trip. I'm just gonna have to push through. No Giuseppe's, I'm still going. Like, I still have to do what I have to do. Like, come on now. So I see the robber or whatever, and I end up printing out pictures of him and putting them all over like the neighborhood. Like, this is the Giuseppe thief or whatever. But I actually did that when I got back. So I just want to put that out there. And then something else, he was stealing other people's package, and then y'all, we're not even gonna get into that. But anyway, long story short, Giuseppe never gave me my money back. Yeah, clock that T. Because I took the signature off and they thought that I was lying, making it seem like, even though I had video proof and everything, they never gave my money back. It was just $1,000 down the drain. I know, you guys, I took the L. I know people were like, oh my God, blah, blah. I took the L and I went about my business and life had to move on. So after all was said and done. Anyway, so now, you guys, we fly to Miami. We fly to Miami. The day we fly in, my niece is not there because she's flying in because she has her finals or earlies or the seniors or whatever the little test that they be having the kids take. My niece had that test, and that's more important than Miami. So she ends up, she's like, oh, I'm gonna come, like, I think she was coming the day after we were going to the Louis Vuitton cocktail party thing, whatever, right? Land in Miami or whatever. We have a driver that we hired or whatever because last time we were in Miami, we used him and he was really good. So this driver or whatever, he's telling me, he's like, oh. So I was like, oh, where you at? You know, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh, I've been waiting at the airport. He's like, I'm going to have to charge you because I've been waiting at the airport for 2 hours. I've been calling you. I've been blowing up your phone and you haven't been answering. And yeah, I'm just going to have to charge you. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what are you talking about? Like, you're gonna have to charge me. Like, first off, it literally made no sense, because I'm thinking in my head, like, what do you mean, like, you have to charge me? You were like waiting for me and stuff like that, right? So I accidentally sent him the itinerary for my niece instead of me. So he didn't look at the dates, but I didn't look and see that I sent him the wrong thing. So it had me landing, like my niece was landing at 10 o'clock the next day, but he thought it was 10 o'clock today, and I was actually landing at 12. So he was at the airport waiting for 2 hours. And you guys, at this point, the Giuseppes are stolen. And like, I'm just like, okay, what else can go wrong? I just want to get out of this airport. So, you know, I understood like why he was upset, and I was like, that's my mistake. I'll go ahead and give you the money and whatnot. And that's fine. So I'm thinking it's all settled and taken care of or whatever. And he was like, oh, well, it's going to be double, right? Like, so he was already charging me, let's just say he was already charging me like $150 to drive me from the airport to let's just say Airbnb, because I can't remember the other place to be. So he was already charging me like $150, so he was like, it's gonna be $300 because I had him waiting. And again, you guys, I was like, you know what? I just want to get out this airport. So I agreed. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Why? Oh, why? When I get in the car, there's 2 girls in the car. There's 2 girls. This is supposed to be a private driver, you guys. There's 2 girls in the car. And I'm just sitting here like, I was just like, no, I'm gonna just call Uber. This is a private ride and there's 2 girls in the car. Like, don't piss me off. Like, you talking big shit. He's like, oh, well, these were the girls that I had to pick up anyway. Okay, so you had to pick up them anyway. And then one of the girls in the car, keep in mind, she was a Caucasian girl. She was like, oh, their flight was delayed an hour. He was not giving them that hostility that he was giving me and talking to them crazy. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm not even taking this or whatever. I ended up giving him some money for his weight or whatever, and it was nowhere near what I don't know what y'all would have did, but it was nowhere near what he was asking, and I ended up getting in an Uber. So nonetheless, and then, oh, mind you, the girls were getting dropped off before me. Like, please, no, bye. This is a scam. I know a scam when I see a scam. So anywho, I end up getting to the Airbnb, but my friend had already been there for 2 days. So while like we're rushing to get ready and my makeup was already done, I had to fly with my makeup on just to make sure that we got to the party. So say I landed at 12, the cocktail hour or whatever, that was at the cocktail hour for Louis Vuitton was at like 5 p.m. or whatever, and it was at the convention center. So I get there, I'm like, okay, let's get ready. She has someone there tailoring her clothes and somebody doing her makeup and stuff, and like, you know, we're running a little bit late because, you know, time waits for nobody. So keep in mind, she also has an assistant out there too. So she was asking the assistant like, hey, can you open this package for me? And the assistant was like, oh, I need some scissors. I can't open it. And she was like, you know what? I'll just use a knife. So she gets a knife and she starts opening the package, but she's cutting the package near her. This is all before we about to go to LV's party, okay? She ends up slicing her hand open. Okay, my friend in Paris, you know, I get to the Airbnb with Paris. I know I'll be hopping around. And we're getting ready. And in the midst of getting ready, Paris ends up slicing her hand with a knife. So blood is gushing everywhere. I'm not making this up. Like, I know I exaggerate, but blood is gushing like everywhere. And I'm like frightened. I'm scared for my life. So I'm just like frightened and stuff like that. So I call 911. She's like, no, we can just Uber to the emergency room. I'm like, no, we can call 911 because like I will pass out. And she's like, no, that's fine. We can just Uber. And the assistant went to get bandages, and then I went to get bandages, and it was just really a bandage mess. Like, it was a mess. Blood was gushing everywhere. Like, I was like panicking or whatever but she was actually really cool. She actually was really chill. Paris was not tripping. Everybody else was like panicking. And so we basically like LV, Louis Vuitton party is not seeing us. That's what I was getting at. I was like, okay, we're not going. So I wasn't even, actually, you know what's so funny is I wasn't even thinking about the LV party. It wasn't until she brought it up and she was like, oh, you have to go. You have to go. You can't come to the emergency room with me. you have to go to the party. She literally is telling me this. Like, she's like, no, you have to go to the party. I'm like, no, I'm not going to the party. I'm going to the emergency room with you. So we call a private driver. You know what's so funny? It ends up being that private driver from the airport, but nonetheless, because I guess he was already outside waiting for us. I don't know. But anyway, so it does end up being him. And he takes us, the driver takes us to the emergency room, and she's like, no, Chanel, you need to call your own Uber, and you need to go to the LV party. And I'm like, no, I'm not going. Like, I'm going with you to the emergency room. So we get to the emergency room, and she was like, oh, they tell her, they're like, oh no, this gash is serious. First off, it's a lot of other stuff that happened, but I'm trying to paraphrase everything, because like, yeah, I'm trying to sum everything up. But finally, when we get to emergency room, because we went to 2 like urgent cares, and they were like, no, they were closed. It was just a whole bunch of other stuff. We finally get there, and they're like, oh, yeah, you need stitches, like a lot of stitches. And she was like, oh my God, like how long is it gonna take? And they're like, yeah, you're not making it to no LV party or, you know, party next door. You're not making it there. And so then she was like, no, Chanel, you have to go. Like, they invited me, like, you, like, it's gonna look bad if nobody shows up, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, I'll go. I promise you that's how it went, because I really did not want to go. And I'm not even the type of person, like, I don't really like networking, like, I don't really like events. I don't really like socializing. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know if I seem like I like socializing, but I don't. So I definitely did not want to go there by myself. But anyway, ended up going there or whatever. And the LV cocktail party was outside of the actual convention center. Like, it was inside the convention center, but not by the art gallery. It had its own separate thing. And I'll like show you guys pictures and stuff. But anyway, so just to remind you guys, LV has to send you an invitation out. So they sent invitations to our address and it had our names on it. So, sorry. So yeah, they sent invitations to our address that had our names on it or whatever. So I didn't know if I should bring the invitation or not. And it's so funny, like, I end up bringing the, you know, paper invitation just in case, like, you know, something goes wrong or whatever. When I walked to the LV party or whatever, when I walk up to the Louis Vuitton party, Louis Vuitton party sounds crazy, but whatever. When I walk up to the cocktail party, they, the person at the entrance, they stopped me and they're like, oh, is your name on the list? Oh, what's your name or whatever? And then I was like, you know, I told them my last name, was like, yeah, this is my name, blah, 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 or whatever. And they were like, we don't see it on here. So I ended up pulling out the invitation. And then there was a girl behind me. Keep in mind, this girl, she looked so familiar, but I couldn't like exactly clock who she was. So I was like, she looks familiar, but she starts laughing because I have the invitation in like my clutch or whatever, and I pull it out. And they're like, oh, no, we don't need the invitation. Like, they were really nice. They're like, we don't need the invitation. Like, we found you. You're good. So her and her friend are behind me giggling. And I'm like, sometimes, like, I don't like to be in my head and thinking, like, everything is about me or somebody is, like, laughing at me or whatever. Let's call this girl Furry. So Furry and her friend, they're 2 blonde-haired girls. And they're, like, behind me laughing. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be. But no, the whole time they were being weirdos. And let me tell you how. So get into the LV thing or whatever. They started like the guy that was really there, he was like telling me everything about like the bags. So there was like bags there where there were like $50,000 and just a bunch of stuff that was going on. And they were showing different art and it was really nice and it was cute. And I ended up getting some champagne and I started chopping it up with some people. And then the girl, like, I'm taking a picture with another person, and the girl ends up like getting in the picture, and she knows the guy that I'm taking the picture with, whatever. I didn't really know him, but they were like, you guys want to take a picture? And I'm like, cool. So she ends up getting the picture with him, and then she gets out the picture, like after we take the picture, she gets out the picture and her friend whispers something, and she was like, oh. And I kind of think her friend was like, oh, like telling her like, oh, she was in the picture or that I was in the picture too or something. And I just thought that was really weird. But there was another blonde hair white girl there. But then now this year, like she said some racist things on Twitter. Listen, I don't be knowing. But she said some racist things on Twitter or whatever. And you guys can like, you know, speculate who it is. But I mentioned her name before. So, and she's really, 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 really popular on TikTok. Like really popular. And she actually was the sweetest person there. She was so freaking kind and like was chatting it up, and like, and I didn't recognize who she was because I don't be on TikTok like that. So then I was like, oh, that's the girl from TikTok that everybody be having this discourse on, or talk about how like she be doing dirty stuff or something like that. I don't know exactly. But anyway, she was really sweet, and she didn't give me racist vibes. But to find out she said racist stuff is crazy. They be masking their racism real good. But she was cool. The other girls though, so the last thing that happened with the other blonde hair girl, the actual one that I feel like was being racist and shady. Keep in mind, I'm the only black person there, right? Let's clock that. I'm the only black person that I seen there. I'm the only black person there. And not the only person of color, but the only black person. So I was getting another thing of champagne, and like, I'm really clumsy, and I wasn't not nervous or anything, but I'm just a really clumsy person. And I'm texting my friend Paris because she's like, how's it going? Oh my God, like I feel so bad that I'm not there. And I was like, I'm gonna send you pictures and everything so she can post on her story and just act like she was there. And so I started taking pictures, and I spilled the champagne, and I slightly might have spilled it on old girl. This the blonde hair one, this the racist one, furry, right? So she's like, oh my God, is it on me or whatever? Because she had like her chinchilla, and she's like, is it on me? And like looking at her friend and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she was like, her friend was like, I feel like she did that on purpose. Like, I didn't even do that on purpose, but the only reason that you would feel like I did that on purpose because you guys were being like shady and weird the whole time. And dude, he ends up inviting me to something afterwards, and I tell him like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Paris. And so he's like, oh yeah, I know her, blah, blah, blah. So I text her, I'm like, hey, your friend, because they are friends. And I was like, hey, your friend such and such. She was like, okay, great. He's gonna plug us into the parties. We'll have a good time. You know, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like I don't want this story time to be like super long. But anyway, so she's like, he'll plug us in and we'll have a good time, whatever. So afterwards, because I'm not going to tell you guys everything that happened at Art Basel because it would make the story time like a million times like long or whatever, right? Afterwards, I'm walking out because now it's over. I stayed like the entire time. The driver, I ordered an Uber or whatever, and you guys, the Ubers were crazy. Like the pricing, the time that it took for the Ubers to come, like, I don't know. But honestly, like I said, I had the time of my life, but we're not gonna get into everything. By the way, you guys, I did see Queen Latifah at the strip club and Janelle Monáe. Oh my God, it was just a good time. It was a good time. It was a good time, I tell you. All right, so anyway, oh yeah, like we're gonna go here afterwards. Like, yeah, just tell Paris to pull up. We're gonna have a blast. And it's so funny because he was already nice to me and he didn't know who I knew. Like, he was just already a sweetheart, and I really appreciated that. And I also want to mention that I'm also not a gatekeeper, because when the girlies were asking me, even this year, oh, what to do with Art Basel, I was sending all the events that like friends were sending me, exclusive events. I was sending exclusive events last year. Like, I had a list, like a PDF, like over 100 events. I put it all on Patreon. It was like literally over 100 events. And I put a lot of it on Patreon. Bro, I seen people selling the list. It didn't include invites. It didn't include access codes or like the secret codes for the speakeasies. It didn't even include that. And they were charging people like $250. So like, okay, get your money. But honey, if you're gonna do all that, make sure the people got the tickets, the invites, all that. But I just wanted to bring that up. So don't forget to join Patreon if you need info on a lot of events, because when I do get the invites for the events and stuff, I do put it on Patreon, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, so afterward, end up going back to the urgent care to go pick up Paris with the driver. We pick up Paris or whatever, and we ended up going to the event that her friend that was at the LV event told us about, and we end up running into the girl again, to her again. And you guys, I'm telling you, there's so many stories within this story at the Art Basel, but I want to tell this one because it's more like kind of a faster story to tell. So my friend is bandaged up. She got the stitches, but she's still ready to go party. She's on antibiotics, but she's not drinking, but she still wants to go outside. That's what type of person Paris is. That's why I love her, okay? So we end up going to the other event. We end up seeing Furry there or whatever. And then Furry was like, her and her friends or whatever, she started kissing up to Paris. She's like, oh my God, I seen Chanel. Okay, hi, I seen you at the event or whatever, at the LV event or whatever. And I'm like, we seen each other, we met, we introduced, because we didn't introduce. You didn't speak to me. You were being a weirdo. What are you talking about? I was like, we met, we seen each other. She was like, yeah, you were. She was like, we took a photo together. And she ends up, because these influencers are fast. with the phone, like with their editing and the phone opening, she ends up pulling up a picture of a picture on her story, and it's with me, her, the dude, and she posted it on her Instagram story. And I'm like, oh, can you take that down? And like everybody was kind of got quiet. And I'm like, yeah, can you take that down? Like, no, because like, in what world do people think that I'm about to be fake nice with somebody that was a weirdo to me? Like, stop. Because when you thought I spilled that drink on you, you didn't even say, you didn't accept my apology or anything. You were like, she was like literally not even talking to me. She's like, oh my God, is it stained? This is chinchilla. Like saying stuff like that instead of saying like, or even acknowledging that like I was apologizing for spilling the champagne, which I really don't think the champagne got on her. But nonetheless, I was like, yeah, can you take that down? And she was like, oh, no problem. Yeah, because you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo. So anyway, we're all in the section together, or we're all in the Westin together. We're just all chilling and having fun. And then Paris gets a call from somebody else, and they're like, hey, you need to go here, which was the club, because that's the club that we saw like Queen Latifah and Janelle Monáe at, and it was really fun. But yeah, you guys, that was that story. I feel like that, and then that night was just insane. Like, you can't make this up. We didn't get home till 7 a.m. It was the next day. It was pretty insane. But anyway, you guys, that's the story time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and comment if you guys want more story times. That's it. Give this video a thumbs up. I hope it wasn't like it felt rushed, but I do have to go to dinner. Okay, I'm gonna start doing these story times hours and hours before. All right, bye you guys. And oh my God, I got a stain. I was gonna show you guys the fit, but I have a stain. All right.
Maybe spend it.